now, don't forget to take a moment, take a look up in the sky. Think about the blessings, all the blessings that you got. It's a great day to be alive.
Hello, I'm your host, Rick Bowles, and our producer is James Bridges. We call him JB. Faith in Sports will be highlighting coaches, student athletes, and all things SAGU athletics. SAGU is a Christian university located in the heart of Waxahachie, Texas, and we are happy for one of our own alumni sponsoring this endeavor. VCR Now is a technology organization that can fulfill all your LED, audio, video, lighting needs, whether it's at a sports stadium, arena, house of worship, or business. Well, my fearless co-host, James Carnell, is on vacation. He actually went on a cruise, and so we have no compassion for him.
No
mercy.
None whatsoever.
I mean, crazy. Who gets to do that in February? But anyway, so I'll be on my own, but I've got JB here helping me out a little bit. We're excited that we have two guests tonight on the broadcast, and I'll introduce those in just a couple of minutes. But, man, we had a lot of action last week here on campus. Baseball and softball has officially started. And our men swept their doubleheader against Sterling College on Saturday. The first game was a 3-0 shutout with Ethan Noors earning the victory by tossing a 6-inning shutout while allowing only 3 hits and recording 3 strikeouts. That's pretty good.
It's very good.
Pretty good innings for him. And Caden Kneip will tell you a little bit more about why I've highlighted him a little bit, but he earned the save from the Lions. In the second game, the SAGU Lions scored 11 runs, winning 11-3. And we don't have enough time to list all those who helped drive in those runs, but it's obviously a great day for SAGU. JB, how did the Lady Lions do in softball?
Well, the Lady Lions softball team opened their 2023 season against the Royals of Ecclesia College with 2 run rule victories on Saturday. The Lady Lions had an excellent start to their 2023 campaign by defeating the Royals in their first game, which they won 17-1. In their second game that day, which they won 9-1. Tomorrow, softball will face Dallas Christian College here at SAGU for another doubleheader at 1 and 3 p.m.
So, if it's not raining, I think it's supposed to be a little rainy tomorrow. So, if those don't get rained out, if you want to come out and watch softball, that would be great. Be a good opportunity for you to see them early on before they face their conference play. There are several track and field athletes headed to Ohio this weekend for the indoor NCCAA National Championship. And I might get our other guest, Trevor, here, his thoughts on that here in a minute. But all the men and women's basketball teams will host their final home games this Thursday at 6 and 7:45 p.m. So if you haven't seen the men and women basketball this semester, you might want to come out. This will be your last chance to see them here on campus. Well, it's time to get to know our two guests that are joining us tonight. They are 2 of our many student athletes on campus. I'd like to introduce to you Trevor Searls and Makinzy Kneip, if you recognize that name. Her brother was the one I mentioned earlier. And is he a braggart? When he does well, does he kind of put it in you and your sister's face and say, hey, look what I did, or is he pretty humble?
He is actually really humble. I didn't even know he had the save until you just said it. So
oh, really?
He usually just like, oh, I did pretty good.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And your sister plays or is on the track team, right?
Yes, sir. She's going to Ohio.
Wow. How is it to have all 2 of your siblings here on campus at the same time?
Oh, I wouldn't do it any other way.
Yeah.
I room with my sister, and I absolutely love it. I don't think I could room with anyone else. And having Caden here is like my own personal bodyguard,
there you go.
It's pretty great.
That's neat. That's neat. Trevor, man, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Another Okie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we have that in common for sure. Well, we'll just jump in here and start asking you some questions. A little nervous. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. If we make some mistakes, we'll just keep going on, see? Just like I did. So, from the start, tell us where you're from, what sport you're involved with, and what year you're in, and what brought you to SAGU. A big mouthful, but Makinzy, we'll start with you.
So I'm from a tiny town called Wallace, Texas.
Ooh, how many people there, do you know?
I think it's around 900.
Okay. Wow, that is tiny.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So it's really small.
Yeah.
And I play softball here at SAGU. I'm a freshman, and the Christian atmosphere is what brought me to SAGU. I really just loved how God's able to flow and his presence is able to be everywhere, all around the campus. I came to like a couple chapels and stayed in the dorm with my sister when she came up here because she's a year older than I am. And I really just loved it. I was going to come here no matter if I played a sport or not. One reason, too, is because my parents told me I had to come here. That was a big push because I'm 17. Well, I was 17 when I came in. And they're like, you're way too young to be by yourself without your brother. So then I was like, well, I guess I'm going to love it. So I came and I got really invested, and I just love every part about it.
That's fantastic. Trevor, what town in Oklahoma are you from?
I'm from Edmond, Oklahoma. It's about 25 minutes north of Oklahoma City, so it's where I grew up. And I'm a junior on the track, but I'm a senior in the classroom. And what brought me to SAGU is, it's kind of a long story, but I'll make it short. So my mom, behind my back, my senior of high school, signed my email up for a bunch of Christian colleges to reach out to me, but I kind of paid no mind to them. I just wanted to run in college, and then one day SAGU sent something in the mail. My mom threw it on my bed, looked up SAGU. Coaches reached out to me, went on a visit, and I signed on my visit and haven't looked back since. So it's really all a God thing, so I'm very blessed.
So, Trevor, what is your major?
Marketing,
Marketing.
yes.
All right. Makinzy?
My major is math education with a
that's right.
minor in coaching.
That's right. So we made a little kind of gave her a hard time for being in math. You know, all of us love math, but I think that's cool because I'm sure a lot of schools need math teachers. You shouldn't have. Are you wanting to be a teacher?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So you shouldn't have any problem getting a job when you leave here because there's a lot of need for that.
Yes, sir.
I laugh because I was not very good at math, and but I am a little bit better at it than my wife. We joke that she definitely doesn't do the budget at the house. We all have our talents, right? So tell us how playing softball, Makinzy, is different now than when you were in high school.
I think that the biggest thing that's different is the responsibility level. When I was at home, I had like my mom constantly telling me, go out on the tee and put in some extra work. You need to schedule a hitting lesson with your coach and everything. And now that I'm here, I do that all on my own. So like it's my decision to walk out there and go get the extra reps or put in the extra work and make sure that I'm on top of all my stuff. And also just the atmosphere. It's more of a job than it is something just for fun. Like in high school, it's just a bunch of girls doing it because they wanted an extra sport to play in the spring. But here, it's like you came for a purpose and you're going to do that purpose. And if you don't do that purpose, then you're no longer going to be here doing that. And I really love it. I thrive under the pressure of the responsibility. And so it's just a different. I wouldn't really be able to compare it to high school as much because to me it's two different, like completely scenarios going on. But I really love it. I loved high school too, but I just like how it's so independent and I can go out there and get my stuff done and have a list of things to do and just got to get them all done.
I know there's some back and forth on whether or not young people, especially maybe pre-junior high, junior high, should probably play more than one sport, which I think personally it's a great idea. My son is an athletic trainer at a high school, and he really likes that as well. Do you think that that's good for the younger kids to do more than one sport?
I do. I think that like junior high is good to do more than one sport, and especially elementary, because I feel like by the time you get in high school, especially nowadays because there's so many people competing to play in college, you kind of want to be zoned in on at least 3 sports. And so I would say definitely play as many as you can in junior high and then narrow it out because after there, the responsibility level just goes up and up and up. And like me personally, I was homeschooled until my freshman year. So my freshman year, I played like 6 sports.
Wow.
And it was crazy. I was constantly going, like my body was kind of breaking down. And so I wouldn't really recommend that. But I would say I had friends in high school, and you know, it's a jack of all trades and a master of none. They loved being a jack of all trades, and like that's what they were passionate about. And I wanted to be a master of softball, obviously. And so it's just to each their own, really. Whatever you want to do, but I would definitely say try everything because you never know what's going to interest you. Because I actually quit softball at one point in my life, and then my freshman year, I was still not going to. I was like, well, I'll try it in high school. And then it wasn't until my sophomore year that I was like, okay, I really love this. So I would say try it because you never know what path you're going to end up taking.
Sure. So you played on Saturday at the complex here, and tell us a little bit about your perception of how it went, what you were involved with, and we were talking off air. You got hit by a pitch, so kind of run us through a little bit of just the action and things that you enjoyed as the first 2 games of the season started.
So I was able to start in right field, which is a little bit different for me because I usually play center. So I was kind of nervous, but it went good. I would say just the team atmosphere was amazing. All the girls, it was so much fun. Just from the time we got there, we were having fun and doing our job, and everything was just flowing smoothly. And then when game time started, it's my first time with these coaches, so I didn't really know exactly how it would be, but it was great. I really loved it. The first game, I was the flex because our second catcher who caught the second game, she hit for me, and I was able to run, and that's like my favorite part of the game. So I stole a lot of bases, and that was super fun. And then the second game, I was able to hit and start in right field again. And I just loved how, like, in the dugout, everyone's, like, pumping you up. On the field, everyone's pumping you up. And you're there to do a job, and everyone else is there, too. So the intensity level is, like, really high. And especially when you're winning, everything's always fun. So it was just great.
Did your mom and dad get to come and watch you?
Yes, sir, they did. They came there. Thank God they came there because I actually didn't have any sleeves. And so I was like, Mom, I need you to go buy me some sleeves right now. It's super cold out here. So she went, and then they were there for the first and second game.
That's great. Trevor, so tell us a little bit about what's different in your perspective from college to high school.
So for me, I went to a big 6A high school. Like I had almost 3,000 in my graduating class. And
Wow.
Or no, not my graduating class. Sorry, 3,000. Almost 3,000 went to my school. There was about almost 800 in my graduating class. So I'd say the big thing for me is like on our cross country team in high school. I mean, we obviously had your 7 varsity runners, but everyone else ran JV. But we had like 45 runners on our JV team. So we had about 50, almost 60 people on our team. So it's like you have a bunch of people, and it's just always crowded and whatever. But when you come to college, it's more tight knit, you know. Like we have 10 guys on our cross country team now, and year before that we had 6. Year before that we also had 6. So we're kind of closer in that aspect because it's less amount of people to have to, I hate to say deal with, but like less people we have to interact with, less people we have to work with and compete with, and you're just and another thing is you're just living together too. That was an adjustment for me, just literally rooming with a teammate and then seeing them in the dorm. Like all the guys on our cross-country team, we live on the same hall pretty much. So I see them every day. I see them when I wake up. I see them middle of the day. I see them in the caf eating dinner. I see them in class. I see them everywhere. I see them at practice. So that's kind of different for me, just seeing everyone every single day, and then just it being a smaller group. That just means you're closer. That means you have a tighter bond, and you have to work through some things a little bit sometimes because sometimes you can get annoyed with each other being around each other so much. But end of the day, it's fun, and I love doing it. So
you run cross country. Explain a little bit more about what you do specifically.
So I run cross country and track, and obviously cross country in college you run an 8K. It's different from high school because high school you run a 5K, so that can be a bit of a jump, especially if you're not really cross-country runner who focuses on long distance and track. I focus on long distance and track, and it still was hard for me. But for track, I run all the long distance events, anything 1,500, 5K, 10K, all those long distance events. So, yeah, that's what I focus on.
Tell us just a little bit about your perception of what happens at the indoor championship. So we've got, 8 or 10 going? Is that right? Something around there, I think?
You talking about individuals or like real?
Yeah.
We got individuals. We got most of the guys' teams going, and a pretty decent amount of the girls are going. So pretty much the whole team is going to end up going, which is awesome. But
so how do you get there? Do you have to qualify certain?
Yes. So there's qualification standards that you have to hit for each event. Relays, you don't have to hit a standard. It's just you get a team together and you can run it. But every individual event, there's a certain standard, certain time, certain distance that you got to hit. And if you hit it, you punch your ticket and you're able to go. So.
And then the following week, March, I guess, is the NAIA.
Yeah. So
how do you qualify for that?
Same thing, but the standards are a little bit different. They're a little bit tougher to hit. So not as many as on our team will get to go, but we have I think it's 4 or 5 that are going this year, which my first 2 years we've only had one go, the same person go. So to have 3 or 4 more people go is
That's cool.
really awesome for us.
That's neat. Well, I've talked a lot of to a lot of athletes that could have continued playing competitively at college and chose not to. So why did you want to continue being an athlete in college? Obviously, there's a lot more academics involved in college. It's you got to get a little more focused. And some people say, you know what, I'd just rather focus on my academics than to do both. Why? What is it about getting to do college sports that excited you to continue? Makinzy?
Like I said before, I actually quit softball, and then it wasn't until my sophomore year that I was actually on a travel ball team. And I remember coming up to my parents because I wasn't very good at that point in my life. And I was like, Mom, I want to play college softball. And I don't really know what struck it in me. I was just like, I just want to go do this. And so she was like, oh boy, Kinsey, we're way behind the 8 ball. We need to get you a hitting coach. We need to do all these different things. And I ended up getting on a really, really good travel ball team. And I remember the first camp I came here, I'd been playing travel ball for a couple months, and I'd played high school ball my freshman year and my sophomore year. And Coach Waddy, he told me later, he didn't tell me then, but he was like, I was like, this girl really wants to come here, but I don't think she can. I don't know what I'm going to do. Her brother plays baseball here and everything. And so then I came back, and he was like, well, she's all right now. And then I came back a third time for a camp, and then that's when he was like, okay, this is the real deal. I want this girl on my team. But honestly, my 3 other siblings, they were college athletes. And so I was like, Makinzy, you're going to be known for the one who didn't do it. You're going to
No
be
pressure.
The one little nerdy kid who didn't play a college sport. And so I was like, I'm definitely not being that.
Yeah.
And then I was actually kind of tossing it up because, math education is pretty tough major.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to God and I was just like, Lord, I'm just going to trust you with this. And so basically if you appoint me on this team, then I'll know it's from you. And even when I got here, I was kind of struggling with my calling. Why am I here, God? Everyone here is so churchy. How am I going to be a light and everything like that? And Jesus was just telling me, I've appointed you for a place and a purpose. And you see your team, let that be your harvest field, basically.
That's neat.
And I just really felt called by God just to pursue this. And even though sometimes I was like, I don't know about it, I just always had that inward fire that I was like, you need to do this. And I think it was all the Lord that placed me here and put me here and even gave me the opportunity. Because like I said, I was way behind the 8 ball. And it was a miracle that I just caught up so fast. And I give all the glory to God.
That's great. Trevor?
I would say for me that my brother he played basketball. He ended up playing basketball here his last 2 years. He just graduated here in December. But I always looked up to him growing up, just being older and him always being involved in sports, mainly basketball. He played basketball since he was 3 until 23. So he played basketball for 20 years. So I always looked up to him, and I saw him thrive, and I saw him be successful, and I saw him make it to college, and I was like, man, how cool would it be to be a college athlete as well? Because I think about my grandpa. My grandpa is actually the reason why I started running, because he ran his senior year of high school. That's when they first had track, and just hearing his story and his upbringing really motivated me. And then my great uncle, he was an all-state basketball player, and both of them grew up in poor family backgrounds. So unfortunately, neither of them got to be able to pursue their dream of playing a sport in college, just they couldn't afford it. So for me, when I had that opportunity, and I saw that, and I was like, I don't want to take it for granted. If the Lord has placed me in this position, given me this talent, why would I just throw it away?
Sure.
I enjoy it, and it's really instilled a lot of discipline in me. Before I started being running and being really heavily involved in sports, I was kind of just there. I'd go to school, but my grades weren't bad, but I would kind of just be there and not really care. I'll just do enough to get by. But when I got involved, it seriously opened a lot of things up for me, opened a lot of doors. I was able to just get more involved and be more disciplined in school and get myself out there more. And just me being a shy and quiet person, that really helped me be able to just find a different group of people and be able to get myself out there and open up, like I said, a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities for me.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. So you're both leaders in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Athletes in Action, two student organizations here at SAGU. You have a lot going on, to say the least. Why did you want to be involved?
I'll go first. So I think for me, I was really praying about it. My mom was like, you're going to get up there and you're going to want to be involved in some stuff, so I want you to start researching it out now. And I remember my sister telling me about FCA, and I felt like the Lord was kind of impressing on me, like, I'm going to move in this place no matter what, so do you want to be a part of my movement or not? And I was like, well, yes, Lord, I want to be a part of your movement. He's like, so get involved. And I texted Mr. Rick, and he was like, yes, of course, I would love that. And I came to the first, like, social event, and I just knew that I had found my place. Like, I knew it wouldn't be easy. Obviously, we have a lot of things up in the air and having to organize our schedules and everything, but I would rather go through the less sleep and the more stress to be a part of the call of God than to sit back and let someone else take my position. And because God says, like, if you don't answer the call, I'll put someone else in your shoes. And so I really just felt God saying, like, answer the call or don't, but I would really want you to answer the call. So I was like, yes, Lord, like, whatever you want me to do, I'm your vessel, so just use me. And I felt like FCA was a really big way that God was going to use me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for me, I actually was involved with FCA at my high school. It was obviously, like, bigger high school, so it was harder to get involved. So first, I kind of just started showing up, and then my senior year, I held a leadership role. I gave, like, verse of the week every other week. It wasn't very much, but I got to SAGU, and before I got here, I didn't even know that FCA even existed here. I knew that it existed at some colleges, but I never thought that it existed at SAGU, just being a smaller school. And then I found out that it did. I was like, no way. I was involved with FCA in high school. I was like, it's like, what are the chances that I'm able to get involved and get plugged in and maybe eventually be in a leadership role? So I just started showing up. I got invited, or didn't get invited. I just saw that it was advertised, FCA meeting. So I started going to the huddles, and then just started faithfully showing up and getting in contact with Rick. And eventually it led to me being in a leadership role. And now I wouldn't have it any other way. I love investing into athletes. I love helping them grow in their relationship with God, because I know how much it meant to me before I came here, even in high school, and even my time here, just how people have invested in me and how they've helped me and how I've grown in my relationships. I want to be able to help people and give back to them, because I want to be able to use what I've gone through in my struggles to help them, be able to deal with their struggles maybe better than I dealt with them. So
That's great.
So what would you say your definition is of being an athlete that is a Christian?
I believe that first and foremost, beside athletics, if everything was to fade away, at my root, I'm a Christian. I'm a child of God, and that's what I hold as my identity, is in Christ. And it reminds me a lot of the story of Peter. So when he came, like, fishing was basically his sport. And he came and he had not that much faith in God, but God asked him, can I use your boat? And when he let him use his boat, after that, all the fish came into his boat. And that's how I see softball. That's my boat. And so God impressed on me when I started softball, will you allow me to use this just to spread the gospel to other people? And I believe that the more I impress in the Lord for him to continually use softball, the more fish he puts in my boat, the more people he puts in my life that I can minister to, and the more successful I am. I've tried to do it on my own, honestly, like, Lord, I got this, like, I can play softball on my own, and everything went to kapooey, basically. It was all terrible. But then when I was like, okay, Jesus, like, that's obviously not what I need to be doing, everything came back together. And so I just believe that it's knowing who you are in Christ, and no matter the ups and downs you face, because softball is known as a losing man's sport, it's knowing that the real victory is in heaven. And I remember my mom texted me before the game, and she was like, Makinzy, you'll have victories here today, but celebrate the spiritual victories just as much. And when I see a girl stand up for something that's right, or someone I haven't been investing to just, like, leads the team Devo, I think that that's the true definition of being a Christian athlete, is celebrating those victories just as much as if I hit a home run or I got, like, the player of the game or something like that.
That's neat.
Yeah, I would say the definition is like how you live your life. It's easy to say, oh, yeah, I'm a Christian. And outside of your sport, how you're living your life, like you go to church and you're involved in Bible studies and you're reading your Bible, this and that, all those great things. Yeah, those things are great. But how are you living your life, or how are you going into your sport? Are you living two different lifestyles, or are you making it consistent? And for me, I've learned that being consistent all the way through is really the definition of being a true Christian athlete. Because you see a lot of people, unfortunately, will like try and look good on the outside and do all these great things, and then they get to their sport, it's just a completely different lifestyle. They let their sport consume who they are. Something I heard a couple years back was that we need to stop worshiping our sports, but instead worship God in our sports. And ever since that was told to me, that's just changed my mindset and changed my perspective. Like when I go to track meets, I don't want to just go and compete. I want to run fast. Yeah, I want to PR. Yeah, I want to help the team win. At the end of the day, I want to shine his light, because we go to all these meets, and not every school is like SAGU, Not every school is a Christian school. Not every school is investing into our relationship with Christ, So there's going to be people there that are lost and don't know God, and I just want to be that example. I want to lead by example. I don't care if I'm different. I don't care if I get made fun of for it, get laughed at for it. I just want to be different. I want people to see God living in me, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And I want to be able to see them in heaven one day and be able to share these stories and share these moments. So.
Well, I'm obviously y'all have mentioned my name, so I have the privilege of being the sponsor for FCA, and we also have combined Athletes in Action. We've got a couple of great guys that are helping us with that as well. But I would say, parents, if you're listening to this broadcast and you have students in high school, reach out to Coach Reed, Greg Reed. He is the athletic director at Waxahachie High School and ISD, and he knows those who are leading FCA in the high schools. FCA is an incredible ministry to allow your athletes to learn about what it is to be a Christian and an athlete. And a lot of athletes, everything is wrapped up in that sport, but the identity needs to be in Christ. And FCA kind of guides you in that, obviously. So check that out if you want to as well. Well, JB, we're getting close to being finished with the broadcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about our faithful sponsor?
Sure thing. Driven by producing quality LED video boards, state-of-the-art audio and video production systems at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is their business, but it's their focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with their schools that sets them apart. From their 24/7, 365 help desk, the training lab in their hometown of Red Oak, and a sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of athletic departments they support, VCR Now is built to last. VCR Now has provided SAGU with a state-of-the-art LED scoreboard in our basketball and volleyball arena, so feel free and come take a look over at the Schaefer Center. Back to you, Rick.
Well, that's about all the time we have. Makinzy and Trevor, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be a part of this. Faith in Sports is a broadcast property of SAGU, a Christian university located in Waxahachie, and has over 70 undergraduate and graduate degrees, including on-campus and online options. Faith in Sports is sponsored by VCRNow.com. Visit sagu.edu for more information. Also, stay up to date with all things SAGU athletics. You can do that. Also find tickets, sagulions.com. Thank you again, and we'll be back with you on next Monday night.